bartender extraordinaire. He wore his fancy red blazer tonight, so we'll ask him about that in a few minutes. And we have with us is Mark. Sorry, I'm gonna butcher your name. Maliniak.
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 How's it going, guys?
Good to see
And
you,
he
man.
is welcome, and he's with the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra. He plays the trumpet. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So we're gonna really get you going though. We've got some high alcohol beers tonight. We've got double IPAs.
Perfect.
So we'll talk about those in just a moment. And then the ones that we will be drinking. But welcome, Mark. We just want to kind of introduce yourself to the people before we get into the beers.
Yeah,
Just
sure.
tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do.
So I've been in Atlanta for about 2.5 years now. I moved here from Cleveland, Ohio. Was born and raised there. And I moved here to start a position as fourth trumpet with the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra in 2018, late 2018. Loving it so far, getting used to living inside the perimeter finally, and kind of experiencing new restaurants, bars, and kind
It's different, isn't it? It's different, isn't it? Inside the perimeter.
Like new worlds. It's
People don't believe me. Yeah, we're working I would much rather work at a restaurant inside the perimeter than outside the perimeter.
Yeah.
I don't think I could work in a restaurant outside the perimeter.
I mean, there's so much variety and culture inside. Like it's a really cool city, and loving it so far.
Excellent. Well, we're going to take you outside of the city for just a minute, down to Florida. Like
Right.
all great news stories start. Florida man. Florida man. So this is from Cigar City Brewing. They've been in Tampa since 2007. They're right in that, just outside of Ybor. Have you ever been to Tampa before? Either of you guys?
No,
I'm gonna
No.
say no. I don't think so.
no, I've
Tampa.
been on the East Coast, like Miami a lot, but
Yeah.
not on Tampa or Sarasota area. No.
Yeah, I love it over there. There's a lot to do. It's not quite as touristy,
Yeah.
like as the Atlantic coast. It's a little quieter, but Ybor City is very much the Cuban area of Tampa. There's so much cool things to do, and they're like right around there as well. I should be right around the Tampa area, leaving on the 311 cruise right now, but we know why I'm not doing that. So maybe a little bit of Florida here for tonight, then we can enjoy.
Ooh, that's got some hops on the nose.
Double IPA. That means aggressive hops. Definitely, that means double the hops. You'll also hear this beer called Imperial IPA. And basically what they do is they double up the hops. Sometimes they do a little more malt as well. But definitely get that pineapple guava right on the nose.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of aromatics. You're going to get all that extra from
Yeah,
the
get a
extra
lot of
hops.
pininess.
Mm-hmm.
It's cloudy. That's good orange color. It's pretty loose bubbles.
Yeah.
Ooh. Definitely a lot sweeter than the nose would indicate. Of course, like you said, it's a imperial or a double IPA, so they got to throw some extra sugar in there to balance it out.
Well, that's the malty, yeah. To keep it from. So this one is
Malts or sugars.
yeah. 8.5 alcohol by volume
mess
on this
around.
one. Yeah, and
It's
then
not messing around.
the IBUs on this one is 50. So it's got some bitterness to it. It's definitely got that grapefruit zest.
Right.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, this is pretty nice. And I can feel it like almost just going down my gullet. Like there is a lot of alcohol in here.
Mm-hmm.
You can get it in Atlanta, right? You didn't actually travel down to Florida to get it, right?
No, I got this. You can get this in Atlanta. Cigar City is pretty popular. Their flagship beer is Hialeah. If you've ever seen it, Hialeah IPA.
Okay.
That's the one that they're known for. They also have one we've had recently. Their Florida Cracker.
Yeah.
Is a wheat beer, kind of like their Blue Moon.
Okay.
But they do a lot of stuff, and they also do a lot of helping of smaller breweries. Like actually the one that I'm wearing here, the Rock Brothers Brewery. They're down in Tampa. There's smaller ones, and what they do is they make beers that are with like a band. Like for example, 311 did one. That's why I knew about them, and they do a lot of beers with them. And they did an Imperial IPA that was 11.3%.
Oh, nice.
So they did that on purpose.
Very, very catchy.
Yeah, and they've done a couple of beers with them as well. They've also done beers with Humphreys McGee and Revolution, Hootie and the Blowfish. I believe they did one with them. But Cigar City definitely helped them get their start.
Nice.
But yeah, this is definitely
easy drinking.
Yeah.
Like nice, light, crisp, not crazy hoppy.
So like this is a finishing the day beer. If you've been sitting out on the beach drinking beer, get that beach fire going and sit back in your chair and sip on this one to kind of put you down for the night.
Yeah, I say in that sense for sure. It's an end of the day, but it is the finish him.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a little syrupy. The alcohol content, you're probably you might crack open another one and get halfway through and go tired.
I'm done.
But yeah, it's got good flavor. It's I'd say it's not perfectly balanced. It's a little on the sweeter end. And of course, I'm not a huge IPA guy, but as far as like a lot of the IPAs we've had, it's a little more sweet, which I appreciate because I like that better.
Not such a bitter guy there, Sean. Not as me.
Right. So, Mark, what got you into playing trumpet? I guess. Well, yes, let's just say trumpet professionally.
Well, I started in 5th grade band. I took lessons as a kid, like most students do, and kind of developed an interest into it, and was getting some success. And in school, it's very competitive. You want to be first chair, you want to beat so and so, and there are all these challenges as you go through the grade levels. So I was taking lessons, and I was practicing a lot, and I was doing well in band, and I was starting to meet new teachers that were helping me improve. So just kind of layered one on top of each other. And when I got to senior year of high school, it kind of thought, yeah, maybe I can do this. This is fun. I like performing. I like kind of being the star. At least I was in my high school. It was a really small, really small high school. So I was the big fish in a small pond, and I had auditioned for colleges for music performance, which is different from music education, which is kind of being a band director and marching band director. I kind of wanted to perform. I didn't really want to teach so much. So I auditioned, and I got into a great school for undergrad, and kind of rinse and repeat. You get a teacher, and you do all the same things in college, and you practice and take lessons and play ensembles, and got to the end of my 4 years there and auditioned for graduate schools. And then same thing. I, got a great teacher, played in the bands and the orchestras, and started taking professional auditions, which was the goal. To play in an orchestra, you have to kind of go out there and take an audition and show what you're made of. So that's the short version on how I kind of got here.
So is trumpet the only instrument that you play?
I played piano very seriously. In high school, from 5th grade until senior year of high school, I was also playing piano. So I was doing about 2 or 3 hours on the trumpet and 2 or 3 hours on piano. So it was 6 hours a day of music, and on top of school studies and playing sports and wanting to have a social life. So once I got to my senior year, I had to make a decision. I couldn't do both. You just can't. It's just too much of a time commitment and too much of a difference in focus. And so I chose the trumpet, basically because I thought, well, I want to perform as a career, most orchestras have 4 trumpet spots, and if I wanted to be a piano soloist, I just didn't feel like my skills were at that level that they needed to be. So I kind of went like the realistic approach, like, okay, I think I think I have a better chance of having a career if I go down an orchestral path versus being a piano soloist. So I think I made the right decision.
Excellent.
I hope.
Seems like it's working out.
So I have more questions about the orchestra, but I do want to get into the next beer as well. So, talk about moving to Atlanta. We'll do that with this one here.
I gotta catch up.
So we've got the New Realm
Macho.
Double IPA. I'm sure this one comes from here in Atlanta. They also have a facility in Virginia Beach as well. This one is 9.3, so this one's even bigger dog than the other one. And they are made. This one's made with hops that's called Vic Secret, and it's from Australia. And it's one of the newer hops that brewers are starting to use. Wow, this one is really clear. Like this one looks like a Pilsner almost.
Yes, I was going to say the same thing. Like this is a light
totally.
lager Pilsner.
Mitch out there.
Wow.
We've had Mitch from New Realm on the show, and he was nice enough to come by and hang out with us one night. He told us a lot. And
it's a cool brewery. It's very close to me where I live.
yeah, actually, yeah, it is.
Belmont, right? So it's
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm almost walking distance. It's probably like a 4-minute drive, but it's
bicycle distance.
It's a bicycle distance. Yeah.
But you have to be a serious walker if you want to walk that far.
You can power.
I would do it.
I would like power walking days. That's where it comes in handy.
So this one, yes, is 9.3 on the ABV and 60 on the IBU. So this one's a little heavier. Definitely got a different nose on it.
It's a mild nose.
More of a like I feel like it's the Wild West. It's got that like out in the desert, the smell of Vegas or Arizona even. You know what I'm talking about, Sean?
Well, I kind of in that like it's so dry.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that besides like just the heat and the lack of humidity that gets you when you walk out of a plane or walk out of the airport, is that it's so dry. Your nostrils kind of clamp up, almost like when it's like below freezing, and like you're way up north. That it's the same idea. It's almost super dry air. But there is a faint dirt, dust, sandiness to things. And depending on how you get it, one of the most cool times, I think this would be closest to, is right after a monsoon. It rains, it's dry again, but the whole desert blooms for 2 days. So all of a sudden you have pinks and yellows and a few purples in an otherwise brown, arid landscape, and it's beautiful. And you get that same dryness, but you get a little floral, and that's this. Sorry, that was a long description. For beer.
That's very poetic. I couldn't.
And you know what? The palate does it right there with it too. Like this reminds me of my trip to Death Valley.
Wow.
So this does kind of have the body and beer bitishness of a Pilsner still. Mm-hmm. It's very obviously an IPA, and it's not as sweet or syrupy as the other one. This is unusual.
Yeah, this is definitely interesting, and I wonder if it's that Vic Secret hops that makes it such a different kind of.
Now that I'm going back and forth between the two, I can totally tell the sweetness and the syrupiness from the Florida man.
Yeah, this one's definitely a lot more of a tropical note to it, and it's got some haze to it as well in the beer. But this one is real crisp and clean. Like I said, it's got it's
a little more like lean. It's like trim the fat.
Yeah.
Of a steak.
I mean, I guess really, if you're looking at just the alcohol difference, it might have just been they let this ferment longer.
Yeah,
A
let's
little
get
less sugar,
more of a
more
mustiness
alcohol.
to it, or.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
think this is good. This is it's well done. It's complex. It's got a lot to talk about and think about and look at.
Yeah. It's got a little bit of bitter green bite on the back, like of my tongue, like the palate, like as it kind of sits and lingers,
Hmm.
which I think, as we've been talking about IBUs, because it's actually like a residual chemical left over in the process of making the IPAs.
Hmm.
I think I'm starting to identify that that's what that bite is.
Yeah,
At
it's
least,
that.
at least for me.
Well, and that's probably what that IBU, that resin is,
Right.
that left over
Right. For
is
anyone
what
that's
you're
ever had
getting.
resin on their palate,
Yeah. Well,
I don't know what that's like. Ian?
that's what yeah. That's what hops do. They resonate, just like marijuana does.
Same family.
Yeah.
That's why all the good stuff is related.
Yeah.
Both are
All
good.
right.
Both are solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mark, what? Obviously, you work for the Atlanta Symphony, so
Yes.
that's why you're in Atlanta. But what was kind of that process from not being here to auditioning, getting that call, and coming down here like?
That's like training for the Olympics. You know, that's kind of what musicians prepare for and talk about the most is how to successfully navigate an audition preparation. You know, about 3 months before the actual day of the audition, I received a list of music with everything that they wanted me or anybody audition to prepare.
Mhm.
And from then on, it was just rigorous practice sessions. I mean, literally, it's like preparing for the Super Bowl or to compete in the Olympics, or I play a lot of golf. So it's like trying to win the U.S. Open, and there's 150 people that show up, and you get 10 minutes of time to play on the very first day, and if it goes well, they say thank you. We'd like to hear you again, and you come back the next day, and you get 10 to 15 minutes of time, and if that goes well, you come back the next day, and then you get like 20 minutes of time, and so it happens over the course of 3 or 4 days. In my case, I did the audition, and it went well, and they liked how I played, and they wanted me to come back and actually play with the orchestra for 2 weeks. So I think my audition was in late May of 2018, and they asked if I could come back in 2 weeks in June and play 2 full weeks with the orchestra as kind of like an additional evaluation period, which I did, and that went well. And then they formally offered me a contract after that. But
Awesome.
it is rigorous. I mean, it is.
Oh, I have a question too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Where's
it's
the
it's
answer?
almost like American Idol then, huh?
It's like American Idol, yeah, without ever being seen.
Yeah.
The whole thing is anonymous. There's an actual screen divider or a partition from the judges and
Although, so they don't even look at you while you're playing,
they don't know who's on stage.
huh?
Wow.
Okay.
That
That keeps it fair then. I would imagine.
it's supposed to be. There's a carpet so that no one can hear what kind of shoes, whether it's heel
Wow.
or woman, or it's supposed to be.
Oh.
There's no talking. There's no.
You just go in and play. Wow, that's intense.
You don't say a word. You walk out on stage.
So it has nothing to do with your personality or your interview or anything like that. Then.
At that point, no. I mean, at some point they can offer, and it did happen in my case in the final rounds, they can remove the screen and you can finally see people and you can kind of chit chat and like talk a little bit back and forth. But for the most part, it's very strange to play something and hear absolute silence. And you have no idea whether it's to their liking or not. And you just turn the page and play the next thing, and silence. You wait a couple seconds, you play, and at some point, you either make it to the end of what they want to hear, or they say, "Thank you," and that's literally the only thing that you might hear, and that's kind of your cue that, all right, maybe they don't like
stop.
It. We've heard enough, Sometimes that's good, but in most cases, that's kind of like, I didn't get to the end of the 10 things they wanted me to play, and so,
I didn't get to bring it home.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a huge physical preparation on actually preparing your muscles and your lips, in my case, or a violinist, their fingers, but it's also a huge mental preparation of just getting in the zone, competing at your highest level when it counts on that day. It's like, I think it's like the Olympics, but also trying to like win the gold medal in the Olympics and set the world record at the same time. It's, the level of competition is so cutthroat, and it's indescribable if you've never really gone through it, but it's very emotional. It's very physically taxing, emotionally taxing, mentally taxing, and the other kind of crappy thing about it is you can play absolutely great, and somebody says, "I don't like that," that's it, huh? Yeah. I mean, I've played auditions where I don't miss a note, but I haven't gone through to the next round. It's so subjective. It's just
if someone likes the way it sounds or not.
Exactly.
Basically, yeah. Wow. So you did say one more thing that I wanted that you were going to ask, and Sean's like drinking. He's like, I wanted a question too. After this, you can have this. So you said you're fourth chair for fourth trumpet, right?
Right.
So
I like to joke that I'm the last chair trumpet.
Okay. So here's my question though. So if like say second trumpet decides to retire, do you kind of just move up into like whoever's third moves to second, and then you move to third, and then here we're going to go look for the new trumpeter?
Or do you? I mean, I say that in jest, because literally all four of us have very
different
roles that are very unique to our chair. So
that was the other side of my question.
Nobody would really jump up and move up like they do.
They're specific spots then.
Specific spots, and they have specific skills to them. What I do as fourth trumpet also is very, if not the same as a second trumpet player. So my skills would be more transferable to go to second than, say, the third trumpet player.
Okay.
So if this makes sense, a first trumpet obviously plays solos and the high notes. The second trumpet player plays the lower notes. A third trumpet player kind of will actually play the same as the first trumpet player. They're kind of interchangeable positions, where the third trumpet player will be like a assistant principal, basically. They will fill in when the first trumpet doesn't want to play anything. And my job as fourth trumpet is to act as kind of the second trumpet player in different situations. It's kind of everybody has a certain role. Everybody has a skill set, and it's not completely always transferable. So it's very unique.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, the part of having that kind of arrangement, like you would in a choir, or for really the rest of the symphony, there's generally a couple chairs in each section.
Yeah.
Is that just it kind of, even though you have to be playing exactly together, whenever you have two people playing at the same time, even if it's the same part, there's just a tiny bit of dissonance in between the two people, like because they're never truly exactly the same. So it adds just a little bit of flavor to the sound, but it also rounds out the whole idea of hearing horns.
Well, each part, at least for the winds, we are playing our own independent part. So if you see 50 violin players, they might actually all be playing the same notes. But as far as the trumpets and trombones and clarinets and most of the winds, like each part has its own you're playing your own solo part basically.
Right.
And
So when you say you're mirroring first chair, third is mirroring first, and fourth.
You're
is
more
mirroring
complimenting
second.
them, like
Really
playing
mirroring
backup.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Like playing backup guitar compared to like the lead guitar.
Exactly right.
Okay.
Exactly right. I'm more of a supportive team player versus being like the quarterback. Like the the ways that I assist in the section is by playing with a good sound that matches what the guys above me are playing.
You kind of keep the rhythm.
Keep the rhythm. Try to match basically. If they want to play short, I play short. If they want to play louder, I play louder. If they want to play softer, I play softer. So I'm just kind of like you said, I'm mirroring what they do. I'm kind of filling out and supporting.
Gotcha. Someone's asking they need more hot sauce.
I just saw that comment. That's Angie from Atrocity Girl, one of our past guests in Seattle, and I sent them previously a wine bottle filled with hot sauce.
I've got the hot bitters right here.
Wine bottle, wine, $7.50.
That's a lot of hot sauce.
It is, and it's hot sauce. But I mean, if you like a lot of hot sauce, then it's not, because there's an episode of us doing a hot sauce challenge where it was more of a challenge for me and more fun for them. And I think they were drinking the hot sauce at the end. And I've been slowly building a tolerance to ghost peppers, but it's a slow burn, really.
Are you just trying it like straight? Or are you adding it to a food or?
So what I'll do is I'll take a toothpick, because the first time I had it like on the show, I had like a nugget, and I just like ketchup stream like line across the top of the nugget, took a bite, chucked the whole thing.
Then he snorted it,
and died on camera for like 5 minutes. It was, and the thing is, it is delicious, but it burns like hell.
Oh, I bet.
So now I've been taking like a toothpick and doing like a line across or a line on something, or doing dabs, and just like basically just sitting out the burn, and they'll do it again, and then I'll like not do it for a day, because like even you have to eat before you even eat that level of heat.
Oh man,
it messes with
yeah,
your stomach.
you don't want that on bare stomach.
Well, I learned that too. It's just
So-
like, I'm like, it's just the gurgling. You're like, oh no.
What we need to do is bring George on, because George can handle the spicy, believe it or not.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean,
Let's go toe to toe with a 5-year-old on the spice.
I will do that just out of some weird old man pride, I think.
Oh yeah, come on, little kid, let's see what you got. And he'd probably be like laughing at us too. That's the funny thing.
That would be awesome. Just getting mocked by a 5-year-old. Come on, man.
Ignorance is bliss.
So, I do want to move on to the cocktails section, because I know we're kind of grooving towards that. But, Mark, you mentioned a couple times that you're like, or you mentioned the process at least of getting to where you are, like being an Olympic level athlete.
Yeah.
If you were to compare what you've done to get where you are to any Olympic level sport, is there a specific one that you'd be like, yeah, I'm like the Michael Phelps of trumpets, or something along those lines?
It's hard to say. One of my teachers kind of biathletes. I think that's where they ski and then they shoot. Right? Is that
okay?
In the Winter Olympics, just because nerves are a big part of playing an instrument, being a performer, like being out in public, and your heart's racing, and I guess biathletes are skiing and their heart rate's going crazy, and then they gotta slow everything down, and hold this gun and shoot and center themselves and get to that place where they're able to control it. And I haven't. That's a good question. I would guess that's closely related. I mean, there's a lot of dealing with nerves. There's a lot of dealing with breath control, slowing yourself down when everything seems to be just going crazy and the adrenaline pumping. But I don't know if I would call myself the Michael Phelps of trumpet yet. But
I mean, I don't know a lot of.
But there is like a lot of
so.
There's a lot of like practice. I mean, daily hours of practice, just hitting fundamentals. You know,
You're the Lindsey Vaughn. How about that? Since you wanted to go skiing.
Yeah,
but that's different skiing though, because what you're talking about
is
cross country skiing, which is probably one of the most intense. People don't believe it. Looks like it's a slow thing, but that's probably cross country skiing is like the real deal of workout and like really getting, like you said, getting your heart rate up and doing that, because it's like you don't have a hill to push you down, you're pushing yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you know, that being from Minnesota, that's a big deal in Minnesota, is the cross country skiing, because we don't really have hills there, but we have a lot of snow.
Yeah.
And
like I go to the grocery store, I'll cross country ski, like pick up some bread.
Yeah. Oh my God. But then like you said though, to do that and then to sit and shoot, and you know, and you're in a race the whole time.
Yeah.
In a competition, and you know, you got to do this right, but you got to do it fast too.
And there's ways that, like, you know, I've done that in my preparation for auditions. I've done jumping jacks. I've done like the run around the building, get your heart rate like crazy, and then try to play. You know, like like going nuts, and you can't hold the trumpet because you're shaking, and like that's what it's like. Good.
Is that better for you, or is it better to sit and chill?
It's good to at least try to like see if you can control it. It's good to at least experience it, so you don't freak yourself out. You know, there's in the time that when you get on stage and you think, oh my God, I've never felt this nervous before. This is new. Well, that's part of the preparation leading up to this. You know, that's, like I said, that's mental training. That's, you know,
so you got to find the balance of that adrenaline and that calm.
Yeah, I would say it's like recreating the situation as much as you can. I mean, going into auditions, I start playing for people. I start doing mock auditions. I start doing the jumping jacks. I start trying to make myself nervous. I start playing for people and having them not say anything. So I'm not just practicing at home with like, you know, the TV on. I'm like putting myself in the most realistic environment that I can. Sometimes I dress up in the suit that I'm going to wear. So I like get even more deeper. I mean, preparation's everything. If I can be more prepared and more comfortable with what I think is going to happen. I mean, you can only control things so much. You can't control how people are going to react to your playing but you can control how you prepare for things and how you envision things. It's a really fascinating topic, and something that musicians just love to talk about. It's just probably the most popular topic among students in colleges and professional musicians and people on the audition circuit, is talking about auditions. And I think it's I mean, there's so many books. There's sports psychology books that all pertain to this too. It's crazy.
We just watched Van Wilder, and like they said, before any big exam, you got to take a dump.
If that's part of your routine and it works, then you do it. You figure out what works, and then you go with it. You roll with it. I'm not going to say that's mine, but you know, I was just a dump on stage, and that just happened.
Yeah. Well, he's like in front of his new colleagues, like I thought in the garbage can.
Oh my gosh! Well, I guess that means it's cocktail time.
Yeah, cocktail time.
All right, so
before you get into the cocktail, though, Sean, I got to ask, why the red blazer?
So, well, it's part. Well, we'll start with that. So this week, I'm used to Purim, the Jewish holiday celebrating the freedom or escape of the Jews from the Persian Empire and the persecution and likely execution by. Oh, come on, not Malachi. Malachi saved them. Haram. is celebrated a number of different ways, and some of it involves costume or dressing up. So, and one of my friends was like, "Oh, you gonna dress up?" And I was like, shoot." So I like red blazer, and since I already kind of have a mustache, it makes me look like an old timey devil. I'm like, all right, well, there we go.
That's perfect then, right?
Right. But so what initially got me into this holiday, and I am very much not Jewish, but I do enjoy many of the customs, was that it is a holiday where you're encouraged not to get intoxicated necessarily, but to drink. And to drink, a fair amount. And a friend of mine in college told me one of the core concepts is at the end of the night you should be able to tell the difference. And again, this is college education from a peer, not from a teacher. Is that you should be able to tell the difference between blessed be Malachi and cursed be Haman. Basically, the good guy and the bad guy. So I was like, well, that sounds like a great holiday. I'm going to try to celebrate that every year. And this is the first year, or at least the longest since I've known, that it happened in February and not March or even early April. So it took me by surprise, and I still wanted to do something with it on the show. So first, we're going to try a little bit of Manischewitz, which is a kosher wine produced here in the U.S. of 51% or more Concord grape. So take a little sip. It tastes...
Oh, we're tasting that one first, huh?
Yeah, we'll do that first, and I'll make the cocktail. So we're doing a cocktail with it, too. But since this is a more unique ingredient, I want us to try it separately first. It tastes like Welch's with a little bit of vodka in it, essentially.
Mine's all vodka, I think.
It's all vodka?
Yeah, that's all vodka.
I'm sorry, I give you the vodka. That's just vodka with food coloring?
Yeah.
But Manischewitz was actually started in... Jesus, Ian. What are you doing, buddy?
I'm going crazy over here.
Okay. But it was...
I'm ready, though, for you.
The brand was actually... I'll take another sip, because what am I going to do with this bottle of Manischewitz? Besides...
Right, am I finishing this all?
Oh, yeah, what's an ounce and a half? It's a shot. Come on.
I don't know if we're saving this for another...
It does have kind of a port flavor to it.
A little bit, yeah.
But not nearly as sugary or syrupy as port.
No, although that is an excellent point, and maybe you're even giving me that segue. Is that most of what you find in the grocery stores, your general Manischewitz wine, is kosher, except it is not considered kosher by Ashkenazi Jews because it uses corn syrup, and that is not kosher. So during some of the major holidays like Passover, you'll actually find a different bottling that doesn't use corn syrup, uses natural sugarcane. But this is we have the blasphemous one. But it is quite sweet, and it's actually produced. Most of these grapes are produced in upstate New York, or a little bit further south, coming down into Pennsylvania. There's a lot of local wineries. You can go have Concord grape wine. You go, wow, that is sweet. But it's an interesting experience nonetheless.
Kind of a cross between sangria and port.
Yeah, I'd be willing to accept that. So the cocktail for this week, which is pre-mixed for you gentlemen, and I'll make here on camera, is going to use about an ounce of Manischewitz. And we're going to do this.
The color obviously comes from.
Oh yeah, we're doing 1.5 ounces of gin. A little splash of lime juice. I'm using the pre-juice stuff this week. I didn't do my own.
The pre-juice.
2 dashes of orange bitters. A little splash of Malort. And honestly, I was trying to think of balancing out the cocktail, and I like the herbal bitterness that Malort has, and it made me think of Passover, even though it's a different holiday. We're kind of getting into that season, but eating of bitter herbs seemed like a good tribute into the cocktail. And then finally, topping it with soda water. And you get something that, now that I'm looking at it again, kind of looks like a mind eraser. Certainly not what I was going for.
Or a Bay Breeze.
Yeah, or a Bay Breeze. I think I stirred it up the first time I made it, so since I forgot my spoon, we're just going to do a little Little index pointer finger action.
Been there, done that. No shame.
Mm-hmm.
But cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers, guys.
Or L'chaim.
L'chaim. I could see a lemon wedge as the garnish for this.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it by itself because it just had, to me, like starts with a little sweet.
Yeah.
And then you get kind of your bitter note, but it's not overwhelmingly bitter. It's just kind of like a little.
Or even the twist, just for the color of the garnish. I think the lemon yellow would work with that.
I could go with a twist. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. If you ever have, let's say half a bottle of Manischewitz laying around, there's a cocktail you can throw it in.
I feel like this is very much like a Negroni. I get the Negroni flavor on this.
It's dry at the end or is bitter at the end.
Yeah, it's not quite as dry. I mean, if you don't like Negronis because of that dry bitterness on the end, I could see this being like here's a halfway point.
Yeah.
You can just not die at least. Well, shoot, it's already 10:42.
We're in extra time. We're in extra time.
So
overtime.
Why don't we take the rest of the show maybe into the Patreon?
Move to the shameless plugs.
Right. So, Mark, obviously you play with the Atlanta Symphony, but is there anything you're doing either separately or that Atlanta Symphony specifically is doing that people should know about to help support the symphony?
Well, right now we're doing everything's virtual. Each week we are recording concerts that are available for subscription, subscribers. And it's awesome. I think if you just visit aso.org, you can find ways to view our concerts, which are up for about a month. They're not public, but I think it's very affordable. And every week is kind of a whole new, kind of something for everybody. I mean, if you like brass, there's a brass special. If you like strings, there's a string special. It's really unique. I think we're very lucky that we're doing this when a lot of performing arts groups are not doing this, unfortunately. And Atlanta Symphony Orchestra has been just so great about continuing to provide arts and entertainment to people, not just here, but it's available for live stream, anywhere in the country and the world. So I would say check out aso.org and check out one of our concerts.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, excellent. As for me, I'm here doing this stuff.
We're waiting.
Of course, wherever you happen to be watching this, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, Patreon, Twitch, because I honestly throw this on my Twitch account too. Be sure to like, to share, to follow, hit the subscribe button. Tell someone, which would be sharing, but even if it's just verbally and you don't actually share it digitally, that's fine. Because we do this every week, except for the occasional rare illness. And it's nice to know that people care. So do that. You can always find us on Facebook, fb.me/Beery Traveler, on Instagram, _Beery_Traveler, on Twitter, Beery_Traveler, on patreon.com/Beery Traveler, and just on our website, beerytraveler.beer. And of course, you can email us, beer@thebeerytraveler.beer. Thank you to Tire Director. Thank you to a Trusty Girl, who, of course, Angie was commenting during the show. But thank you to the whole group, because we love you. And, of course, they're a Patreon supporter, and we love them for that. And I think that's everything. If you ever want to talk to one of us, Ian at the beerytraveler.beer. I'm Sean. You can find me at MailinPC on all the social medias. And I think that's all I got. Ian, take it away.
Sean, that's why we keep you around, because you can remember all that stuff at the end of the show. I unfortunately can't. I'm just looking for good times and great beers. Hey, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We will see you next Friday. Maybe we'll have something special since it's our 1-year anniversary next week of doing the show. But, sorry, that was loud, I'm sure. Sean, take us out of here.